Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back, and we are just sending it here today. It's been a minute since I got to do one of these AlphaStar videos, and so we're gonna just jump right on into it. We've got a TVZ AlphaStar taking on AlphaStar on the map New Repugnancy. This is the second to last replay that we have of AlphaStar playing AlphaStar, playing with itself. I don't know. Yes, so a TVZ AlphaStar playing Terran, probably gonna be going for its usual or sort of odd style. Maybe we'll see lots of Banshees, maybe we'll see that heavier bio play, but without too many medivac, as is sort of one of the signature differences between Alpha Terran and a regular Terran player. And then we've got Alpha Zerg, which I think at this point we can safely say is probably going to do some sort of timing attack, as was oh so common for the Alpha Zerg agent. Really being the most predictable of them, I'd say. So yeah, we'll take a look before we get too far into this game. Hit that like button for me not being dead and this channel still being alive. But yeah, if we can, for old time's sake, hit let's see, 19 likes on this video for the current SDV count of Alpha Terran, that would be awesome. Yeah. And as far as the YouTube thing goes, I think I'm gonna try and wrap up this AlphaStar series as quick as I can, doing a video today, maybe one tomorrow, we'll see. And that'll be that, as yeah, this is the second to last replay. And then I'm probably gonna try and do some of the bot casts if I can. I've been very busy lately, but I'm gonna try and put out content when I get to a more regular schedule, whenever that may be. But as far as this game goes, it's starting to heat on up. We've got a very, very standard opening from both sides. No surprises there. These agents, fairly predictable for the most part. We've got a Reaper now coming in for Alpha Terran. Gonna run on in there. Gonna have to micro that Reaper away, keep it alive, all that good stuff. And then, yeah, the game's just gonna continue on. Factory for Alpha Terran, getting up at second gas. We probably will see that Banshee if I had to imagine so. The Reaper just scouting out, making sure there's no crazy cheese coming, which whether this is behavior learned from AlphaStar because this agent prevailed, or if it's just one of those things that's left over from the initial human-seeded replays. Maybe it's a bit of both. But yeah, anyway, make sure to stay tuned until the very end of this video, as we're going to have more of the questions that you guys asked, the AlphaStar team answered at the end, which is just oh so awesome. And I can't thank the AlphaStar team enough for these replays. I do apologize for taking a little while to get around to finishing casting them. Hatchery on the way at that third base location for the Zerg. The Reaper trying to grab itself a drone. I'm not sure that's gonna happen. Oh, it does get one, doesn't get out. That is the question. The answer is gonna be a yes, as long as it keeps on running. Don't stop moving, don't stop moving. Oh no, I had a feeling that one was gonna happen. May that Reaper rest in peace. It got a drone though. Drone for the Reaper. As a Terran, you go, all right. As long as I don't get killed by a roach attack sometime in the near future. We have got that starport finished up. A Banshee is on the way now that that supply depot just finished up. Hellion Banshee going to be the play from the Terran agent. The next choice is going to be third command center. I was going to say, will it be the third command center or a couple of extra racks? Usually the third CC is the way to go. We got a bit of Hellion wall derpage for the time being. The agent does lower that supply depot, lets these Hellions out, going to group them up nicely, and then we'll see if it's going to move in or not. Impact on the way behind this, then it'll be the extra racks going up, and the macro train is getting started for AlphaStar. Machine-like macro, you could say. And then, yeah, we see spores on the way for Alpha Zerg, so getting ready to counter those Banshees. But if we do know one thing about Alpha Terran's harassment, it is that it's relentless, basically. And now we'll see if these Hellions are going to get any damage done to Alpha Zerg. The drones are having a run. The queens are in pursuit. We're already seeing quite a few of these drones go down. Keep in mind, it is 6 Hellions that were committed here, but they do seem to have got a decent amount of damage done. All 6 do go down for 6 drones, 13 lings in total. 6 for 6, you think, that's not the best. But then you add in the lings too, and it's not the end of the world. Alpha Terran probably could have got some more damage done there, but as a Terran, it's hard to know. Do you dive into the main base or go further? I honestly don't know what the correct decision there would have been. 6 for 6, so not too terrible. Not amazing, though. The Banshee comes on in, lets one drone know that it's there, and backs out due to the Queen's presence. You gotta keep in mind that these Banshees do not have, cloak. So, they are limited in their harassment capability. Next up, we're going to see the Evo Chambers getting going for Alpha Zerg, as it's going to be a Roach-based style with that Roachborn finished up. The Lair's about to finish up soon, so we'll probably see Roach Speed get started. Missile attacks on the way. Second Evo, probably going to be Carapace. Yeah, so just the AlphaStar Roach style. So going to be churning out a lot of these bad boys, most likely. All the while, Alpha Terran is powering up. I think just the way the general macro's gone, though, that Alpha Terran's got a slight lead. You think about it, you're like, okay, the Terran's already on 3 bases. The Zerg's still on 3 bases. The Terran's got his 1-1 on the way with a slight lead. The Zerg's got his 1-1 on the way. And while 71 drones is a lot to be making roaches off of, the Terran, I mean, is already getting situated pretty darn well. As tank production rolls on, more Marines on the way. Racks number 4 is done? Is there Racks number 5? No, not yet. So 4 racks is an interesting choice by Alpha Terran. Why it did not build the 5th rack, I do not know. But yeah, take a look. Armory is on the way, so thinking ahead to those 2-2 upgrades. And yeah, it's just roaches. Roaches for days. AlphaStar just doing what AlphaStar does. Now, I know that I was saying that Alpha Terran's probably going to be fine, but Terrans have been known to die to attacks from Zergs that sort of just give that definitive punch. So we'll take a look and see if Alpha Terran's going to react to this properly. Marines and Medivacs are moving on out. And then, let's see, here they go. Going to find an Overlord for starters. Ravagers are a little bit vulnerable. We'll see if these Marines can dive on. They do dive on and get 1 Ravager. I feel that they could have potentially got more had the commitment been greater, but of course that would have cost a few units as more Roaches were coming on in. The Queens are walking too. The Sisters are coming. So the ladies are marching. And now we see Alpha Terran, that is, could be in a bit of trouble as the Zerg agent goes for yet another one of its just lethal attack. 1 Medivac's returning home with these units. This one's going to go on in for a counterattack, which could potentially pull Alpha Zerg home. We'll see. The tanks are set up in a decent position. The bio's already stimming. The numbers are very superior for the Zerg agent. This counterattack is going on, but can the main front be held? SCVs are being pulled into the shredder here. So far, there's still 4 tanks alive, getting lots of shots off for Alpha Terran. The Zerg army is really thinning out. The counterattack has been doing some good damage as the Queens are coming home. This is just truly a mess right now. 4th command center gets canceled. Alpha Terran lost lots of SCVs, has to lift up that base. The counterattack, though, seems to have done a lot of work as the Zerg is now down, what, 30 drones that it used to be? And also that, yeah, I mean, the Terran's just on better tech, lifts off the base, keeps that alive, and so this game isn't going to end just yet. We see the Marines sally forth, going to be looking for an engagement. Got to be careful not to eat those corrosive biles, and they do eat a few of them. Let's take a look here. We have got Liberators on the way now for Alpha Terran. Drilling Claws on the way. That's not too relevant against Roach Ravagers. Corrosive Biles do hit a siege tank, so good placement by Alpha Zerg. Still denying the mining at this 3rd base location. Yeah, let's see. A Queen on the way, Ravager on the way here. Yeah, more barracks going up for Alpha Terran, going up to an odd number 6 after it skipped number 5. It should be able to move out and secure its 3rd base eventually, but so far this is not bad for Alpha Zerg, as it does have its own 4th base up. It's gotta make sure it don't lose too many drones to this Banshee, which it loses a few, but Alpha Zerg isn't in a terrible spot. Alpha Terran isn't in the greatest spot, just due to how long it took to resecure up this third base. I'm actually really curious which agent's going to prevail here, or where this game's going to go. Generally, you think, okay, that's pretty good for the Terran if they hold on to the attack and don't die because they've got the better tech, but then AlphaStar's got the better economy. I think for the Zerg agent, you do have to worry a little bit, though, because we all know that AlphaStar's weakness is the late game. And so if Alpha Terran maxes out, I don't see Alpha Zerg winning. That's just the way it is. We're now going to see double Liberator Harassment for Alpha Terran, going to be moving on out. Changeling there, not an actual Terran unit. Another Liberator moving on out. So Alpha Terran's really starting to turn this around and put the pressure on. +3 attack on the way as well. Mules dropping at that third base location. Keep that economy going. All the while, Alpha Zerg is just even on supply with the Terran, which isn't too good when it's Roach Ravager. Corrosive Bottles being thrown en masse. Just trying to send a message to that Liberator. However, here comes in the ones towards the third base. One's on that score, the other is not. Here comes a big attack towards the front of Alpha Zerg. These are just Marines, though, so they're not that strong in a head-up fight against the Roach Ravager. Corrosive Bottles, of course, always a factor. We're now seeing Tunneling Claws on the way for Alpha Zerg. How well it's going to use this, I'm not too sure, as Alpha Terran is a 3cc Terran. There's always scans. There isn't turrets or anything like that. So we'll see how well the usage is. Liberator Harassment's good by Alpha Terran, but the Spore does reposition for Alpha Zerg. I mean, this is a Grandmaster agent, so it's not like it's going to lose a ton of workers to harassment or anything, as these two do seem to be a fairly even match. In goes Alpha Zerg, going for a big attack. Corrosive Bottles getting tossed on down. Lots of tanks are here for the Terran agent, but as long as Alpha Zerg doesn't just run into the grinder, it should be fine. It really does have to avoid those siege tanks. There's just so many for Alpha Terran. 8 up, which is no small number of tanks. We also see a big drop down towards the third base by Alpha Terran. I did not even see when this was taking place, but it took place, and it took the third base of the Zerg down with it. Fortunately, AlphaStar does have another location up, so still 4 bases against 3. Hive on the way now for Alpha Zerg. What sort of use it's going to make of that tech, I'm not sure. Alpha Terran moving on forward once again. The base hasn't been rebuilt, though, so damage to be done is limited. Pathogen Glands is on the way. If we actually see AlphaStar make Infestors, that means this is going to be a real treat of a game to watch, as it's not like we see this late game too much, and we're heading there. I'm not going to say we're there just yet, as it's still Roach Ravager for the Zerg, but if we see something else get made, then we'll know. Extra command centers going up for Alpha Terran, making double command centers, which is good to see. A sensor tower going on up. 3-3 on the way for the bio. Both agents are maxed out. I know I said that Alpha Terran is probably going to be the favorite here, and I still think that's going to be true. But we'll see if Alpha Zerg is going to make some infestors or not. A drop going towards the main base. Is the Zerg responding appropriately? The answer is yes, as units are coming on in here to respond to this. Corrosive Bottles is going to get tossed on down. I mean, Alpha Zerg is really getting split on up here, though, as an attack also hits the 4th base of the Zerg. And this is where things are starting to look a little bit sour. The splitting of the Zerg army by AlphaStar is not looking too hot here. There's simply no response at the 4th base, as the main base takes a long time to get cleaned on up. It will get cleaned up, but the damage dealt has been huge. So many drones running here for Alpha Zerg. How many drones is that? What, 24 on one page? That's like 40 drones right there for Alpha Zerg, and it loses yet another base. So, oh no, this is not looking too good for the blue agent, as just floating money. The macro at the late game not too crisp. Rebuilding these hatcheries, which is good, expanding a lot, but as far as the actual unit composition, that hasn't improved. The supply is down. Alpha Terran just going for a drop once more. Even this Ultros Cavern could be in a little bit of danger. Corrosive Bottles are going down non-stop, but there goes the Ultros Cavern. 3 Ultras did get started before the end of this, and Ultras are no joke, even if they're going to be missing their Titan plating. Corrosive Bottles getting tossed on down. This drop going to be getting repelled. Spore working away. That's one of the medivac. Alpha Zerg really has taken a beating here. Alpha Terran back at home is macroing up, caught up the 4th base, and has an ungodly amount of siege tanks. Now up to 10. And 10 tanks is quite a force when there's no Vipers on the map at all. Ultra's Cavern's being rebuilt. Alpha Terran's still being a pain with its drop using these units till there is nothing more that can be squeezed out of them. The Zerg just trying to get its economy back on track. What a game we have here. Alpha Zerg really is on the back foot, but it's not out of here just yet. The Ultralisks have popped against a very marine-heavy count, and as long as Alpha Terran doesn't get its tanks on the neck of Alpha Zerg, there's always going to be a chance for a comeback here, particularly if the game drags on. You never know how a game's going to go in the late game with AI. So now we take a look. Alpha Zerg making another Ultra now that it's got that Cavern up. Chitinous plating is on the way, which is good to see. That Ultra's got to get out of there. All those tanks tearing it away. Okay, now we take a look. Ship weapons on the way. Alpha Terran's army really is getting more and more terrifying as it just trades out bio and slowly ups its supply in tanks and liberators. Eventually its army is just going to be pretty much just tanks and liberators as it goes out for a drop once again. Alpha Zerg is starting to get things back online here, but I mean, these drops have done so much damage this game, and I really don't think Alpha Zerg can go in for an attack. Oh gosh, it's going to try that. There's so many siege tanks. Those Ravagers have got to turn around right away. And if we don't see Alpha Zerg tech to Liberators, or tech to Vipers, I don't know how it's going to be able to beat this army. The only thing I can think of is if it catches these tanks in siege, in which case it could wreck it. But that might not be the case. We see a Medivac derpage going on there. A little bit of a delay on that drop by Alpha Terran. We see a response by Alpha Zerg. There's a Liberator that's got to be dealt with. There's this drop in the bottom right side. Looks like this hatchery will go down. Drones transfer, and they are going to regret that transfer. AlphaStar, or Alpha Zerg, not keeping the tightest lid on things. And Alpha Terran is just slowly, very slowly, albeit expanding. This is slower than an actual Terran would do. Fusion core on the way for Alpha Terran. I don't know if we'll see battle cruisers, most likely just advanced ballistics, but I mean, who knows? There's already 3 starports, number 4 going on up. That's another drop towards the main base. I don't even know how Alpha Terran is just sneaking these by. This bio's rather stim. The Ultra going to set to work on it, but I mean, it is just a single Ultra to try and clean this up. It will go down. Drop over here. Going to be getting shut down, but I mean, it just boosts away. Crossbow's going to hit that Liberator. Not till one of the Ultras fatally eats the shot. We see another command center going on up for Alpha Terran. A little bit of derpage there. Says, no, don't land the orbital there. I want to build one here. Alpha Zerg going for 4 more Ultralisks. So the count is growing as both players are now getting up speed, getting up a higher tech army basically as they just trade out their lower tech units in an interesting fashion. Okay. Ravagers waddling around. Another bio army moving on up. Another base going to be vulnerable. Alpha Terran definitely trading more cost efficient than Alpha Zerg. Just sniping bases for days here. Actual army value is fairly close. Still in favor of Alpha Terran by a little bit. As it does have a lot of tanks and Liberators. Another base down here probably going to be getting shut down. As Alpha Terran's drops have honestly just been relentless, and it seems that it will never run out of steam here. Queens do shut down a Medivac, but then we see a drop going down towards the 12 o'clock position. We see one at around the 6 o'clock position. It's looking a little rough for Alpha Zerg. I don't know what conditions it needs to make in its mind before it can somehow win this game. Like, does the agent really think, yes, I just need to do this and this to win this game, or is it simply going through the motions? Hatchery is being dropped. No transfuse going down on it. Transfuse is a queen, but not the hatchery, so quite a mistake there by Alpha Zerg. Then again, this is quite uncharted territory. We don't see a lot of games like this from Alpha Zerg, but some good insight to how the late game works in Alpha Zerg's mind. Raven is on the way, actually. Banshee Speed on the way. Hyperflight Rotors making use of that fusion core. An odd choice by Alpha Terran. We see the mass Liberators moving on out. There is still a high Ravager count to help deal with this. Also, 4 hatcheries building for Alpha Zerg as it just says expand, expand, expand. First bow's going to go down. on some of these Liberators. There's so many Liberators, though. It's going to be some pretty much guaranteed damage getting done to Alpha Zerg. Drop with the Liberator combo, a very nasty bite here by the Terran. Not that much of an army. We'll see if Alpha Zerg can handle this correctly and clean it up. All the while, there is an attack, though, going down on the left side. Actually going to get a blow done to Alpha Terran as it kills off that planetary fortress. What a game we've got here. This is very back and forth. More so than a lot of the AlphaStar versus AlphaStar games we've cast. Drops continuing on, but Alpha Zerg has just expanded and expanded. Turns out when your macro is literally machine mined, it doesn't exactly make a ton of mistakes or fall behind, and it's just building more and more hatcheries. How many have gone down this game? 8 hatcheries have gone down this game, as it takes one to the very left side. Drones 61 to 40 SCVs for the Terrans. So the Terrans got a very large army, but the economy isn't actually that impressive. A random hatchery in the middle of the map there getting shut down. Straight up killed. So Alpha Zerg really isn't trading as efficiently as it looks like, but then you look at the resources lost, and it's actually rather close. Alpha Terran has lost almost 200 Marines. Greater Spire on the way for Alpha Zerg. Alpha Terran, I don't think, has ever really come across Broodlords or ever really countered them correctly. We're now going to see an attack move in for the Zerg Agent. Liberators set on up, but there's so many Ravagers. The Queens are even coming for the 21-minute attack by Alpha Zerg. We'll see if it's going to have to abandon this or not. Transfuse has already been used. There's a drop on the left side cleaning up that base, but in goes Alpha Zerg. There's not that many tanks in position here for Alpha Terran. Queens are engaging the PF, which isn't the best for the Zerg Agent, as Queens don't exactly kill buildings quickly, or really anything quickly. So Alpha Zerg is going to have to back off, losing a good chunk of its army supply, but now getting Corruptors on the way, which will actually counter Liberators, lead to potential Broodlord tech, which could be a game ender, actually, as Alpha Terran seems to have been stifled a little bit, losing that base on the left side. It did resecure that. It's still harassing all over the place with its drops and Liberators and such, but the economy has fallen for Alpha Terran, and it hasn't gone for any big game-winning push or anything like that, as it's hard to do that against all these Ultras. The tanks really have just been dead weight this entire game when you think about it, too. I mean, there's 11 tanks, and they've barely moved at all. They haven't even repositioned adequately to defend bases, so Alpha Terran could potentially be having a bit of weakness. Shine through. Marine's going to engage these Ravagers. The Ultra in the back not actually helping out, which is a bummer, as it would make mincemeat of these Marines. Now it's going to turn around, and those Marines are going to go down like it's nothing. More and more Liberators on the way for Alpha Terran, going up to, oh my gosh, 20 Liberators. This is going to be like Liberator 24. That's going to be popping on out, which is just ridiculous. I guess that's one way to counter Ultras. We have yet to see any Broodlords on the way, even though these Corruptors are done. Alpha Terran, or some of the AlphaStar agents, I'm not sure if they have that weakness, which they'll spend their money before they'll reach a particular tech. Although we see Alpha Zerg pretty much maxed out. No Broodlords on the way. Gotta watch these Corruptors, see if that's gonna be the case or not. Either way, this game is way closer than I thought it would be. I honestly clicked on it and saw that it was a longer replay, and I thought, alright, we'll see. I bet one of the AIs just derps out and doesn't GG or something like that. The answer is no. This is just a full-blown, just nutty game, as an interference matrix, or an anti-armor missile, pardon me, gets used on some Zerglings and such there. This is a nutty game. More Queens on the way for Alpha Zerg. Mass Queens, as a matter of fact. 7 on the way. It's already got 18 Queens. By God, it's just going to be Mass Queens versus Mass Liberators at the end of this, which is ridiculous. 24 minutes now into New Repugnancy. Ladies and gentlemen, leave a like, and leave a comment as well for the YouTube algorithm, so more people see this awesome game. Let's say 25 Queens in the comments. All right. Production continuing on for both agents. They've both maintained almost maxed out this entire game for the most part. Things are definitely looking up for Alpha Zerg compared to how they looked before. The one Viking for Alpha Terran is going to have a friend on the way as another one gets fired up, perhaps in response to the Corruptors, to these agents really showing some depth. Okay. Queens exposed, engaging Marines, but then in comes some Ultras, and these Marines will have to evacuate. Flying over the Queens, one of the drop ships gets shot down. Liberators engaging more of the Queens. A lot of them have perished, however, as it is a very high Liberator count. It is notable that we don't actually see advanced ballistics on these Liberators, so there's a mistake by Alpha Terran, which is quite unfortunate. As when you got this many Liberators, you generally want advanced ballistics. The Liberators are still going to siege on up, as the Zerg player is going to have to retreat from this location, potentially counterattack or something along those lines. It's too many Liberators. There's no amount of Queens, I think, that can engage 24 Liberators that are set up correctly. So we'll either need to see more Corruptors, more Queens, or a big... Well, not more Queens, or a big counterattack, really. That's about it. So this game seems to swing from one player putting on the pressure to another putting on the pressure. I'm honestly baffled that this has gone on this long. Like, I don't think we've seen as much of a stalemate in an AlphaStar game like this, which is truly awesome, seeing as how it's one of the last games. Now we're seeing a counterattack by the Terran aid, or by the Zerg agent, pardon me. However, there is lots of Liberators defending. Queens are engaging a fraction of the Liberators. It's not going too badly. Ultra's getting on top of some tanks, which is nice. Both agents still pretty much maxed out. More Queens on the way, more Ultras on the way. Alpha Zerg seems to think, alright, 5 Ultras not enough, 21 Queens not enough, I gotta build some more. Queens having to hide from the Liberators. If there was advanced ballistics here for the Terran agent, I'd say no way can AlphaStar engage this, but maybe the Queens can make some miracle happen. We're seeing a counterattack as well go on during this. Corrosive Biles hitting some of those Liberators in the sky. Ultras surging forward, getting a lot of the tanks. There's still really no answer to the Liberators, but if that's going to stop Alpha Zerg, or I don't think that's going to stop Alpha Zerg. What a ridiculous game here. The Queen's going to clean up more of the Liberators. All of a sudden, it seems that Alpha Zerg is getting a lot of points on the board as the Queens do clean up a lot of the Liberators. That Terran army wasn't built up as much as it should be, wasn't really consolidated. There's still 15 Liberators all over the map. The economy is still for both players. Alpha Zerg doesn't have that many bases anymore. Alpha Terran, though, doesn't have that many workers like it pretty much hasn't this entire game, and really just has one fresh base. So that's very important. Banshees are on the way, but that's really not going to help against mass Queens. Yes, I'm not sure. All the Queens are just back in the middle of the map for Alpha Zerg. Resources lost is eerily close this game. I have no idea which player is going to win this game. This is just redonkulous. I did not expect this at all. Now we take a look here. Another Corruptor's on the way. Just one Corruptor. The composition is so odd by Alpha Zerg. I guess that's maybe to deal with just one of the pesky Liberators or something. I really don't know. Okay, more hatcheries on the way for the Zerg agent. Liberators, though, still zoning it out. Mules dropping on this location, even though there's no base. Long-distance mining starting to take place. Presumably a base is going to get over there at some point. Marines engaging, but if they engage those Ultras by themselves, they will be dead. The Banshee composition making this very interesting. The Queens will absolutely shred these Banshees if they get into a fight. So I'm not sure what Alpha Terran's doing. Having to retreat right now into its Liberators. The Banshee is running away as well. They're going to turn and gun down as many of these Ultras as they can, which isn't many, as Banshees don't actually kill Ultras that quick. Liberators are shooting away on them. The Corruptors, however, are coming forward. The Queens are waddling towards these Liberators, and there is enough Queens at this point, and not enough Liberators to deal with this. More and more Banshees are on the way for Alpha Terran. I'm not sure that's what it needs at this point. Although, who am I to question this at this point? Alpha Terran has presumably played a lot of these games, whereas I have definitely not played many games like this. As this is just AI going rogue almost. Alpha Terran holding on to this one base, wants to get this other location up. Liberator shooting away at a Queen. The Banshee count grows and grows, but Banshees are just not going to work out as far as cost goes. So this really does seem to be going to Zerg's favor, and this is a lot of depth for Alpha Zerg. I mean, Alpha Zerg, we generally always saw, for the most part, was just a timing attack It was just a timing attack bot. For a lot of the games we cast first, this is just unseen. Marines can engage the queens if there's no ultras to support, and there isn't at the minute, as the ultras are down attacking somewhere else, or they're all dead. Yeah, there's 2 alive, but that means that the queens are mostly alone, and Alpha Terran is going to secure up this base. Both these agents still alive. Alpha Zerg secured up more bases than Alpha Terran at this point, so economically it might do better in the long run, but who am I to know at this point how this game's going to play out? This truly is a fantastic game. I almost wish I left this one for last. We see Liberators are setting up. The Queens are waddling forward. The Marines are going to engage. There's 2 Ultras in the back. They will definitely be a factor in this fight. There's also a Planetary. The Marines are putting down so much damage with the Banshees on the Queens. This could be the final fight as the Queens back away from all the Liberators, but those +3 attack Marines really do a lot of work on those Queens. The Ultras never really got to take part of this fight. They're going to turn around now, but big losses for the Zerg agent, and Alpha Terran is going to hold on to this position and take what was a pretty darn good fight. Gosh, how many Queens died there? I don't know in total, but 50 have died in this game. The units lost was just nuts. Alpha Zerg really in a bit of a tricky spot. Now this Banshee's going to cloak. There's actually no Overseer to see them. So might need to make one of those at some point. Queen's pretty good against Banshees, but not when the Banshees are cloaked. There's an Overseer now joining the front. Interestingly enough, no speed on that Overseer for Alpha Zerg, as Alpha Terran seems to be just content with securing up this base. Transferring some SCVs here and there. Queens are still pretty good against Banshees. It really was the fact that the Marines had no counter in that fight. The Ultras didn't really partake at all, nor are they in that high of number. Alpha Zerg mining from this base from the 6 o'clock position, which is very significant if this game is going to go on. Okay, now we're going to see 1 Broodlord on the way. This is not what I expected to see, but here we are. The Banshee's moving forward while this is going on. Going to be cleaning out this location. They cloak, but there is an Overseer now, so they're going to have to get on out of there. Quickly they will do with their Hyperflake Rotors. The Queens are on their way as Ultras and Lings are going to counterattack. They're really uncontested here. Marines and a single Marauder are coming forward, but these 2 Ultras are a big threat. Alpha Terran, though, able to kill one of them with a Liberator as they just stand in there. The Queens are pushing forward on this front now that there's really no Marines to challenge them, but it's still tanks and Liberators, which I don't know how this is going to go for the Queens. They've used a lot of energy. Broodlords are in the fight as they have been produced, but those Queens, I think, are going to have to retreat, or they are going to retreat. I don't know what to think at this point. Marines coming back. They're very stimmed, but, I mean, it is just Queens and a single Ultra, which gets transfused a lot. Queen count has fallen, and neither player seems to have taken a definitive lead. I think those fights were good for Alpha Terran. This Banshee has no counter at the minute, which is unfortunate for Alpha Zerg, as this base is now very, very important. Both players still within a stone's throw for resources lost. This game is just nuts. Marines now stepping forward. Alpha Zerg gonna lose this important base. Alpha Terran potentially gonna be able to take this at some point in the future. The Broodlords are moving forward. There's no Vikings to counter them. There is Marines. I really don't know what to say at this point. By God, I really don't. This Banshee still uncontested, just getting so many kills. Alpha Zerg bringing units down. The classic AI derp. Oh, I need to kill this Banshee, but I can't shoot up. Send the roaches anyway, darn it. Vikings on the way now for Alpha Terran, presumably a counter to those Broodlords. I've been zoomed out pretty much this entire game, trying to get all these Queens in camera. Now we take a look, another Ultra on the way. A couple of Liberators going to be getting cleaned up by Alpha Zerg. Every pickoff matters at this point in this game. That Banshee did get cleaned up. Command Center flew over some Spore Crawlers. Alpha Terran in the center of the map with a large portion of its army. Going to have to retreat, though. The Banshee's also retreating. They're going to turn around and fight, though, as the Overseer is gone. The Overseer's dead. Alpha Zerg gonna need another one of those to deal with the Banshees eventually. Queens moving forward, getting some good pickoffs on the Liberators due to improper placement. Alpha Zerg, yeah, really, really lucky to be able to pick off these Queens. The Broodlords are pushing forward. Alpha Terran is down on army supply. I mean, it does have Vikings, but there's enough Queens to confuse this Broodlord pretty much till the end of time. So I don't know what to say about that. The Overseer may get picked off. AlphaStar does not give a hoot to transfuse that. So now all of a sudden there's no counter to these cloaked Banshees, which are just working away on the Queens. The Zerg is just everywhere, all the while the Terrans overstim Marines killed the 6 o'clock base. The Banshees still going to town on the Queens. They've really got their work cut out for them, though. This planetary fortress getting repaired by SCVs. If this holds on, that's actually very important. The Liberator going to reposition to try and save it. The repair has been halted. It gets restarted. AlphaStar doing everything it can to keep the space alive. This counterattack getting shut down due to the overstim on those Marines. AlphaTerran losing pretty much all of its bases here. The Banshees did not clean up all these Queens, unsurprisingly. There's 6 of them alive. They're all over the place at this point. But the planetary fortress somehow actually survived that chaos. That's the big deal there, but this main army of the Zerg, I don't know if it can be cleaned up at this point. AlphaTerran's making whatever it can. There is still no Overseer with this army for the Zerg, and one isn't being made, so these Banshees, if used right, could potentially win this game, but oh, they're just killing the Broodling at this point. Now we take a look. Banshee working away on the Queen, doing what it can, but it's going to run out of energy soon enough. And what does AlphaTerran have in its main base? The answer is, I don't think, not an answer to this one Broodlord, or one Ultralisk, which is charging up this ramp. The Marines are gunning down the Lings from the high ground. What an end to this game. I mean, there's still more chaos going on everywhere, but this one Ultra is breaking on into the Zerg side of the map, to the Terran side of the map, pardon me. We see the Liberator doing what it can. The Banshee is still close, uncontested, but I don't think it's going to be utilized properly by AlphaTerran. A Viking is out, going to potentially clean up this Broodlord. The Banshee's doing work, the Liberator's doing work, the Ultra is doing work. These Marines are just hiding for their life here. Oh, they're going to get just cleaved into pieces. Oh, this is a disaster. I think Alpha Zerg might have done it at this point. Banshee's on the other side of the map, still doing work. We'll see if AlphaTerran's going to do the tried and true. There it is, lifted off the buildings. Liberator's still sieged up. The Queens, I think, will be able to clean them up. But, oh my gosh, Alpha Zerg has now lost its ability to actually produce Overseers. So there's a chance these Banshees could win the game for AlphaTerran, and we all know that that AI does not just GG. Banshees, though, engaging Spore Crawler's gonna go down. Are they gonna turn around? One does, but not till it dies. Not till all but one of the Banshees dies. AlphaStar, if it micros this Banshee perfectly, could potentially win this game. Its production is now pretty much gone. Gonna elect to throw up a starport. Tried to throw up a barracks on creep. That didn't work, though. Gonna say, alright, I'll repair this turret, I guess. The one Banshee still alive. It's got to avoid that Spore Crawler. It's not avoiding that Spore Crawler, though. The AI does not take more care at any time in the game. Really, it seems. So a Banshee's just always a Banshee to AlphaStar, even if it's the last Banshee in a critical moment like this. It does find a nice spot to attack these drones, so it's doing some work there. We got this base in the top left, has to lift off. This base here has allowed a starport to finish up. There is a planetary fortress. How many Lings are there, though? 70 Lings against a planetary. Even with SCV repair, I don't think the TF's going to live. The SCVs are already hugging it. They're doing their best. They're engaging the Lings. Oh no, they attack, bringing the Lings Fury on them. And I think Alpha Zerg has done it in the late game. What a freaking nutty game this was. And this was so darn close. I don't even know what to say. Yeah, this is redonkulous. All I can say is hit that like button. I honestly didn't think I'd be commentating for like 40 minutes of non-stop AI StarCraft when I started casting this game. And of course, it would not be an AlphaStar game if the Terran wasn't showing its human roots by lifting off the buildings to the corner of the map. And yes, I think that's it. What unit does AlphaTerran have? Still just sitting that in the corner. Oh my gosh, is it gonna draw this out? No, Alpha Zerg's mining. It will not be a draw. We do want to see the end though. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button. We got a Corruptor on the way. That will end the game. More and more Corruptors on the way. Alpha Zerg now looking around, finding these, destroying everything. A couple of Widow Mines did get fired up. So you got to give it to AlphaTerran for trying, as there is actually no detection to see these Widow Mines. Drilling Claws was researched. These mines won't be permanently cloaked, right? As the armory is gone. There's the Broodlord. What a game. What a game this has been. Truly a spectacle. I mean, the mines are going to be a pain. I'm pretty sure they will be vulnerable after they fire, though, because the armory is dead. I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Mines moving around. Running, running, running. AlphaStar spent pretty much all of its money. Running to the top left. Mine's going to fire. They're running all over the place. I really don't know what to make of this. Corruptor's eating shots. Lings are gonna eat a ton of shots here. Should I slow this down just to make sure that we don't miss anything? Alpha Zerg is still mining, though. To a significant degree. Command Center's still floating around. The Terran's supply block, so no more SCVs are gonna be made. 10 Widow Mines in a dream. Mines firing away. They are killing lots of things. Alpha Terran really fights to the last minute. Fires up a tech lab on a barracks randomly. Not that it can use it, but you know, stuff that counts. Widow Mine's repositioning, firing away on some corruptors. Oh my god, this is nutty. I don't know what to say here. Okay, more mines firing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Alpha Zerg. What are you doing? It hasn't made an overseer. It's got spores, so maybe in its mind it's like, I got detection. Or maybe in its mind it's, the detection tree never goes. Make a layer that you already lost. Then you have detection. I mean, the Zerg's just making more and more corruptors. Presumably, eventually it will find these units in the sky. Oh. Mine reposition, mine fires. Okay, the corruptors have found the command center. I think that's gonna be it. The mines were the dream. But GG, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for tuning into this video. Make sure to go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. I'll try and put out the final AlphaStar video soon. And actually, make sure to stay tuned to the end of this video. It's been so long, I almost forgot that we have those awesome answers to some of your questions at the end of this.
What are the requirements to run AlphaStar? When it comes purely to evaluation, to inference, so once AlphaStar is trained, in order to run it, you really don't need much compute. All the evaluation matches that we played both on the ladder as well as internally against TLO, Mana, or some of the members of the team were run on mid-range PC with a single GPU card, probably weaker than many of the gamers have in their own gaming rigs. However, having higher efficiency of course would help the agent to decrease various latencies. Since, as mentioned before, agent plays in real time, right? It needs to perceive the world, then it needs to compute what it's gonna do, send it back, and depending on how long this loop was in terms of time, how many milliseconds have passed, it will probably behave better or worse. However, this never required any sort of custom hardware or anything very expensive. We're talking here about really mid-range PC with a decent GPU, and that's essentially it. How many kilobytes is a single AlphaStar agent? So when it comes purely to weights, so essentially the quote-unquote source code of the AlphaStar agent, its neural network data, it weighs around 200 megabytes. This was never optimized or compressed in any way. This is literally how much a raw TensorFlow checkpoint weighs. So we are just using a very standard way of storing these sort of machine learning models, and it is its size. If it was needed, you would for sure be able to both prune the model significantly as well as compress its representation. But as an upper bound, it's 200 megabytes per age.